Hello, I'm Dr. Ravindra and you are watching a series of lectures on microprocessors and microcontrollers. We have been discussing about the 8086, the internal architecture, the programming model, interfacing of the memory, the organization of the memory, the different registers, including the flag registers. We also have seen the different concepts on interfacing the memory. Now in this video lecture, we'll be discussing about the bus cycles of the 8086 microprocessor. All the bus activities that are available on the microprocessor, they are not necessarily completed in every clock cycle. When we talk about the different operations that happen inside the microprocessor, be it the fetching of an instruction from the memory, or the fetching of the data, that is writing the data onto the memory, or reading the data onto the from the memory, or similar way performing some operation on the I/O devices. They consume number of clock cycles, and those number of clock cycles required to perform one operation is called as a cycle. So let's know in details what exactly the bus cycle is and how it is in 8086. So we will be moving with the following topics in this video. We'll take a review of the number of things required for this video discussion. Then we will see what is the use of the ALE signal, address latch enable signal, why it is so important in 8086. Then we will see the concept of cycles and the T states. Then specifically we will discuss the read and the write cycles of the 8086 microprocessor. Now looking at the pinout of the 8086 and discussing a bit only those pins which are concerned to us in this video, and the topic that is of concern in this video is the bus cycles. And since it is a bus cycle, that means we will be definitely somewhere discussing about how to read or write from the memory or the I/O devices. And when we talk about reading or writing from or onto the memory of the I/Os, basically the addresses of the memory of the I/O comes into picture. And when it comes to the addresses, as can be seen in the diagram, that the addresses are AD0 to AD15 and then A16 to A19. But important thing to notice here is that all the pins are multiplexed. They have dual functions, and the dual function is that these pins are used to carry the address as well as the data. And the high order bus from A16 to A19, they carry the A16 to A19 as well as the status signals S3 to S7. So these signals will be of concern to us because they are multiplexed, but in the timing diagram, in the bus cycle operation, these signals will definitely come into picture. So the signals of interest to us will be the signals, that is address and the data signals, the signals like the M oblique IR, that is the minimum mode, and the maximum mode signals. So let us see how this demultiplexing operation is done in the. So we said that demultiplexing are required so that the address and the data bus are separate in the physical world. as they are internally multiplexed, they are address and data are used in the multiplex mode. But in real mode, they have to be separated. So how this is done, you can see here that we require the latches to latch the address of the output of the latches. And since the address is 16-bit, and if you wish to use the latch something as 8282 or something as 74373, which are basically 8-bit latches, you require number of them. And since they are 8-bit latches, we would require at least 3 latches. Because we have the 20-bit address, we would require 3 of them. So shown at the bottom are the 2 latches which demultiplex the address A0 to A15. But the high order address bus, they contain not the address and data, but the address and the status signals. So the latch would take the signals from A16 to A19, which are multiplexed with the signal S3 to S7 and the BHE signal. So this will then demultiplex and contain the BHE and A16 to A19 lines of the address bus. So the basic purpose here is that they help us in separating the address and the data world in the physical world. But when it comes to the max mode, therein we require, because we don't have directly read and write signals as in the case of the minimum mode, there we would require the S0, S1 and S2 to indicate the type of operation for onto the buses. And also it is worth mentioning here that the processor bus cycle consists of at least 4 clock cycles, also called as T states. So a bus cycle consists at least 4 clock cycles. So maybe you can count them as a T1, T2, T3 and T4. These 4 clock cycles of the T states. Now when ALE signal is applied to these latches, they are activated. So when the latches are activated, at that particular instant of time, when the latches are activated, then the address will be available at the output of the latches. Right? So address is valid, that means during timing cycle T1, timing state T1, the latches are activated, and since the latches are activated, during T1, a valid address will be available at the output of the latches. While the status signal S3 to S7 are available during the T2 cycles. Now let's discuss about the different bus cycles. We will be discussing the read and the write cycle, and here in front of you we have the hold and the HLD cycle. These are the clock pulses, where each single clock pulse is nothing but a T states. So I have this T state T1, starting from this to this we have a T2 state, then T3 state, then it requires a wait state, and then the T4 state. So how do the 8086 operate when the hold signals are activated? During every cycle, during every bus cycle, the processor checks before T4 whether the hold pin is active or not during the previous clock cycles, or during the present T1 cycle, if the hold is activated, then the processor will generate the HLDA signal, hold request, acknowledgement signal. Listening to again, the processor recognizes the hold signal before T4 state of the previous bus cycle or during the T1 of the current T state, current cycle, current bus cycle. And it is recognized during either the previous before T4 state or during the current T1 state. If it is a valid hold signal, the processor will generate the HLDA signal. The processor will generate the HLDA signal. And subsequently, then release the hold signal. So this is the DMA cycle, or the specific hold and HLDA cycle. This hold and HLDA is basically for the DMA operation, and once the DMA requests through the hold pin is basically checked by the 8086 during the previous before T4 stage or during the current T1 stage. So if it is found to be high, then it generates the bus grant signal, or bus request signal in the form of a HLDA signal. Then let's look at since there are two modes of operation, minimum mode and the maximum mode. Only difference being that the minimum mode is a single processor environment and maximum mode is a multi-processor environment. But in both the cases, you will have the memory read-write, IO read-write. If you look at this particular figure, what you observe is that you have continuous clock pulses, which are called as the T states, T1, T2, T3, T4, and so on. During the first T states, the signal ALE is raised high. And when the ALE is raised high, ALE is address latch enabled. When the latch is enabled, the address A0 to A15 are then put onto the bus. They are put onto the bus. And the bus itself then goes in the tri-state. As can be seen here, during the T2 states, the address will be put onto the address bus, and afterwards the bus will go into the tri-state. Now some kind of decision has to be taken. The high order address is available here, and the low address A0 to A15 is also available after demultiplexing during T1. Now the processor generates a DTR bar depending upon whether it transmitted or received, and the data enabled so that the bidirectional buffers are activated. So once the bidirectional buffers are activated, then the DTR oblique R bar is activated for the read operation, that is a low, and when actually the read operation happens, the content from the buses is read into the bus. If it is a read cycle, it is read from the device onto the bus. If it is a write cycle, again we have the ALE address latch enabled, will enable the latch. There are three latches we saw. The high order latch will demultiplex S3 to S7, and the low order latches, that is containing address from AD0 to AD15, will be demultiplexed into A0 to A15 during the T2 state. and then it goes into the high impedance state. But when the address is available on the buses, then the DTR D in bar will decide the direction of the bus. Data enable will permit the bidirectional buffers to be activated. Data enable buffer enables the, and DTR, it decides the direction. Then a read operation will lead to reading from the memory device. So this completes the minimum mode read and write operation. Then we have the read and write operation for the maximum mode. We know the maximum mode signals, the IO read, IO write, memory read, memory write signals. They are not directly available on the 8086, but they are generated using the pins S0 to S3. So during this, the different signals as AMWC, then the signal like AIOWC, MWTC, IOWC, and so on, they will be generated by this particular process. The signal S0, S1, S2 will generate the three signals, and also the DTR of the DN. So the manipulation of these addresses will help us in moving the data, it is a write cycle, moving the data from the processor into the memory of the 8086, so that the data can be then sent onto the data buses for writing onto the memory. The signal for the read operation is similar, except that now the signal is MRDC, which is generated. So when the ALE is going high and the data will, the address will be available on the address bus. Also, the signal S3 to S0 to S2 will generate the different control signals, control and command signals. So then if the DEN is equal to 0 during the T3 state, DTR of the R bar is a low as a memory read operation, then MRDC, memory write device, will help us in writing the data out to the device. So what we have seen in this video was all about the bus cycles. So we have seen what a bus cycle is, what are the different clock cycles it contains, or clock cycles in the T states, one positive and a negative clock pulse consisted of one T state. Then we saw the DMA, hold, and the HLDA cycle. Then also we saw the memory read and the memory write for the cases when you have the program memory available to you. So this completes a discussion on to the bus cycles of the 8086 microprocessor.